So, Palantir, what an epic name. But what exactly does this company do? Or better yet, to quote my friend Emiliano from a few days ago, what does Palantir do? In simple terms, Palantir deals with data analytics. Imagine it like a modern detective who sifts through tons of information to find the culprit, only instead of Sherlock Holmes, we have computers and very advanced algorithms. Nice analogy, right? But hold on, Palantir isn't exactly a groundbreaking novelty. In the tech world, Microsoft, for example, has been at it for decades. Now, its solution Fabric, which used to be called Power BI, is one example. There's another highly rated solution called Databricks. And you know what's funny? Microsoft, Palantir, and Databricks all use the exact same technology for data analysis because it's open source, the best force, and it's called Apache Spark. Then there's Snowflake, Google with its Google Analytics, and Plaid. However, these use proprietary technology. In short, there are literally hundreds of other solutions, and Palantir is in very good company. Let's dive into the competition a bit. As we mentioned, Microsoft's Fabric is a giant, practically managing all phases of data analysis, from their integration from initial sources to their analysis and visualization. And then there's also the machine learning and AI part, the solution of Microsoft's solution, even if it's not so talked about among non-professionals, is actually recognized as the best in the market, so much so that when mentioning Palantir's competitors, people talk about Microsoft's Fabric. Snowflake maybe focuses more on the advanced analysis and synthesis of these data and less on the visualization part, and it's publicly traded and had a huge boom. When it was listed, it was also one of Warren Buffett's favorite stocks. It's growing a lot, but it has some issues with its finances and debts. Then there's Databricks, which is highly talked about in the industry. It's not publicly traded yet, but it has a significant advantage over the others. Its CEO and founder was one of the inventors of the open-source technology Apache Spark, which Palantir also uses. So, if it were a competition on who knows the technology best, Databricks would have a huge head start. And indeed, among industry professionals, it's the preferred solution. Industry insiders, it's the preferred solution. But then why does Palantir make so much noise? It's not really about technology or amazing results, but is it really a matter of marketing? Yes, Palantir has created enormous hype around itself, and when I say enormous, I mean the big shots of companies who have decided to shell out a lot of money to implement this company's solutions. Let's be honest, it doesn't really have anything unique compared to the others, there. The underlying technology is open source and therefore well known to everyone. But Palantir's secret weapon is its ability to create huge expectations. Their strategy has been quite effective. They've entered niches like defense and healthcare, and in these sectors, like intelligence, highly sensitive data is managed. For this reason, they can't use public clouds but must use their own data servers. And here, Palantir hit the mark by offering primarily, obviously, at the beginning, these on-premises solutions, meaning on their own data servers, are directly managed by intelligence and defense agencies, and clearly, being a niche market. Palantir targeted a very small market, while other companies went for larger markets. And for this reason, despite Palantir being around since the early 2000s, like Facebook, it has only been growing significantly in recent times. If you think about it, Meta was founded around the same time and now is nearing $1 trillion in value, so Palantir is a bit behind. Obviously, these are not facts I made up. You can find them publicly available in Palantir's history and by digging through some reviews. For example, there are companies that do benchmarking of solutions like Gartner, where you can also find reviews. And there are also various discussions on Reddit, and from Reddit, I'll quote some of the most interesting comments. Comment 1, Apache, an ecosystem of software and products. Palantir offers only a SaaS product that uses Apache products, they don't do anything proprietary, which you can't do with other products. In other words, you're paying for their expertise, not their product. It's like paying a Michelin-starred chef to make you a boiled egg. Comment 2. It's expensive and has many limitations. There's a reason why companies abandon it after a few years. Comment 3. Their sales pitch is super slick, but it's very costly if you're not in the right sector, better to stay away. So if you're not a government agency or in the healthcare sector, better keep your money in your pocket. One last comment, if the big shots are ready to pay so much for weak features, they're either incompetent, don't understand the value, or don't trust their technical team, or I would add, maybe all three things together. These comments make it clear that Palantir is not a cure-all. It's expensive, it has limitations, and it seems that its real selling point is an extremely effective sales pitch. Let's go back for a moment to the on-prem technology discussion I mentioned earlier. What does on-prem mean? Basically, instead of using a public cloud, like services provided by AWS, Amazon, Microsoft with Azure, or Google with Google Cloud Platform, you manage your own servers, your own data centers. It's a bit like cooking at home versus ordering takeout. Before the cloud, every company basically had its own data center, its own server. But now it's practically the opposite, because if a company's core business isn't IT, it prefers to outsource it. This obviously isn't possible for intelligence, defense, or healthcare data, because they need to have computing capacity available at any moment, and their data is extremely sensitive, so it can't just be floating around the internet. And this is where Palantir stepped in. Palantir initially leveraged its presence in these mysterious sectors like intelligence, creating enormous hype around what they do and their capabilities, essentially shrouding themselves in mystery. It's no coincidence that my friend Emiliano asked me, so what the heck does Palantir actually do? Let's be clear, the hype has been massively driven by Palantir and their CEO Alex Karp, who is practically everywhere. On social media, he's now a bona fide guru on any topic. He was even invited to the mega symposium with the world's best minds. I heard him at Davos giving his opinions on the Ukraine-Russia war. But on what basis?
I mean, why should the CEO of it company be knowledgeable about what's going to happen between Ukraine and Russia?
It's obvious he's just a fluff guru by now. He's a know-it-all guru, which makes it clear that the hype behind this company is completely out of control. In this context, it's entirely plausible that Palantir's stock prices are completely insane. But is it really so? Well, as of today, Palantir has a market capitalization of about $83 billion. In the last quarter, its revenue was around $670 million. So if we annualize that, we're looking at about $2.7 billion in annual revenue. This means that its price-to-sales ratio is around 30, which is very high because, for example, Snowflake is around 11. Microsoft, which has many other components, isn't a direct comparison but still has a price-to-sales ratio of 12. If we then look at the price-to-earnings ratio, well, here we're completely off the charts, at 216. This number is really concerning for Palantir because it already reflects an optimization in operations and margins. In fact, Palantir currently has a net margin of about 20%, so that 216 can't be optimized much further to reduce it, meaning it has to grow in revenue. So, the answer you're probably wondering about is that Palantir must have insane exponential growth, maybe even more than Nvidia, which everyone talks about as a bubble. In the last quarter, it grew by 27% year over year. Well, that's not a bad result, right? Too bad Snowflake grew by 29%, and if we look at Microsoft's cloud segment, it grew by about 21%, although Microsoft's cloud clearly includes other things besides analytics. Oh, guys, if these insights are giving you any value, remember to subscribe and give a huge like. It's really crucial for me to keep going. Thanks. Let's join US, though, because what I want to show you by talking about Palantir's growth rates is that Palantir grows a lot, but it doesn't grow more than its reference market, which is advanced analytics, a market that has existed long before Palantir. In fact, some market estimates say this market will grow by about 24% annually from now until 2036, and Palantir is more or less in line, but it doesn't seem to be gaining new market share. It maintains roughly the market share it had, and compared to Snowflake, it's losing. With these numbers, we can give Palantir the second place among the most overvalued companies in the market, second only to Tesla, the undisputed queen of overvaluation. Let's say that if I think Tesla could easily lose 70% of its stock value, if Palantir lost about 40%, I don't think it would be scandalous.